it's no secret that Joshua did not want this fight. And he didn't want it for a reason, because Deontay Wilder is the most fiercest puncher in boxing history, in heavyweight division history. And I saw that tonight, I felt it. No wonder AJ didn't want no part of that right hand. He can't move like me, he'd have been nailed.
Tyson Fury says that Deontay Wilder, if he were to fight Anthony Joshua, he would knock him out in 2. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below. Using my link, it does help the channel as I am an affiliate. Now, Tyson Fury went to Conor McGregor's fight. I don't know what you're thinking. UFC 246. Congrats to Conor McGregor. He got a 40-second first-round knockout, tune-up fight. You know, some people, but it was much needed for Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor coming off of pretty lengthy layoff in between his fights after the Mayweather loss and after Khabib Nurmagomedov loss, and he needed that. He needed a W in the win column, and he got it. And he got it emphatically, so he's back. His popularity still there, and it gave, you know, all the droves of fans and stuff hope again, you know, because he looked good, busted up Cowboy Cerrone's eye, melted him. You know, he did what he wanted. And Tyson Fury was there, and he weighed in and talked to Conor McGregor's company, the Mac Life, and he talked about Wilder. This is what he said. I think Deontay Wilder would knock Anthony Joshua out in 2 rounds, and that's not being critical of Joshua. I think he's tailor-made for Wilder, a big, heavy load marching forward. I don't think it was a great performance, to be fair, talking about his win in December in Saudi Arabia, December 7th, on a rematch room card on DAZN over Ruiz. He said Joshua, he stuck and moved, but every time he planted his feet for 1 second, he was like Bambi on ice. And that was with Ruiz coming in at 21 stone or whatever he was. Ruiz was as fat as a pig. The few million quid that he got, the $7 million, it went to his belly. I just think that when you've never had any money in your life, and when you get $7 million, $8 million, you may as well have won Euro millions, and you may as well be a billionaire. So you do all those things you didn't do before. People say it's hard to go back to the gym and hard to sweat in the old stinking boxing gym when you've gotten 7 million quid and you're driving a Rolls Royce and you're living the dream. You're eating sushi on a naked woman and all that. So yeah, it is hard, and I perfectly understand where he comes from. So that's what he had to say. He says that Joshua would get stopped early. You know, he doesn't give it many rounds at all. Tyson Fury is not a person, he's not a model citizen of consistency when it comes to statements. One time he'll say something and then he'll go against that and say something crazy and contradict and all stuff like that. But I will say he's always maintained that Wilder, that I remember. He did a video before he fought Wilder, where he says Joshua and Eddie Hearn want no parts of Wilder, so don't mess up the bag, and you know, please don't fight before I get to fight, because you know Wilder will stretch you. And then I went to Wilder Fury, covered it as credentialed media, and in that fight he said much of the same thing, and I'll put the clip at the beginning of the video. He says AJ can't move like me. If that was him in there, he would have been nailed. And that's true. You know, if you look at it, it is so funny because Joshua ridiculed and criticized Tyson Fury's win over Klitschko, and he compared it. His analogy that he gave at the time was Tyson Fury didn't impress, and he basically went into the kingdom when everyone was asleep, and he stole the treasure, and he put up a stinker of a performance, a boring fight, and he didn't really dethrone the king. Joshua at that point was being marketed as the knockout artist of the century by Eddie Hearns and Rematch Room and whatnot, and UK fans. So he says he puts on knockout performances because that's what he was getting at the time. against the competition he had faced. But he said Tyson Fury had put on, more of a subpar robbery. Not that he lost the fight, but robbery in terms of you didn't go heads up with the king and, cut his head off and show the world that you're better than the king. You crept into the kingdom and stole his treasure. And it's ironic that he said that because it came back to bite him years later after a nasty spill, 4 knockdowns on DAZN, an embarrassing American debut. What did Joshua do? He did the same thing he criticized Tyson Fury from, but he did it in a worse fashion. Like Fury is saying, anytime they had to go heads up for brief pockets, then, Joshua looked kind of bewildered. He was getting caught with shots. So I'm not impressed with Joshua. The only thing that's impressive is that he got his belts back, and just coming from a bad loss that he was able to keep it together. But I think Andy Ruiz aided in that. This is not an excuse. This is my honest opinion of what the situation was. Andy Ruiz aided in the ability for Joshua to have that strategy, not really have to even make any adjustments. It just it worked. But I don't think against a more hungry, determined, stronger, bigger, longer arm, taller, these types of things, adversity, that same game plan would be just perfectly enough because the boxing wasn't as proficient as Floyd Mayweather. It wasn't even as good as a heavyweight Tyson Fury. It was like a poor man's knockoff Tyson Fury, if anything. Fury moves increasingly well, especially for his size, uses his tools. Not necessarily the biggest puncher, but he was able to stay out of Wilder's wheelhouse and immediate danger while playing some games, off of 2 tune-ups with Wilder, putting his hands behind his back, taunting Wilder, trying stuff. Imagine Joshua, he doesn't have the skill as a boxer or reflexes, in my opinion, to taunt Wilder and do the Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran, no mas type of performance, because it just looked like very basic, the boxing he did, which was enough for an out of shape Andy Ruiz with short T-Rex arms, shorter in stature and height, who's 15 pounds over his weight when he came in the first time on a 5-6 week training plan. And he was already big there. He probably wasn't in the best shape just because, and he just had no game plan. Ruiz had no game plan. Not Joshua's problem, not his fault, but that's the reality. So I would have to agree with Tyson Fury. Wilder's a whole different animal. Wilder's confident. Wilder should be at the highest level of confidence. And Joshua's boxing is not as mature, his ability as a boxer. Even his gold medal match in the Olympics, he arguably lost that. Go watch that fight. He arguably lost that. And it's politics. Just like Roy Jones was robbed in the Olympics and Seoul, Korea, and just like Floyd Mayweather got robbed, stuff like that happens. Mick Connellan and nicotine or whatever. So it is what it is. But no use crying over spilt milk. It is what it is. Wilder's a different animal. So I agree, especially at this point. If Joshua, his best chance to beat Wilder had come and gone, because he really got found out by Andy Ruiz. A little bit previewed, like a prequel was the Klitschko fight. But we've seen him hurt. We've seen him fatigue. He's manipulating his weight. It's just, he doesn't really have an identity. And I'll talk about this more in future videos. But I just feel like he's in a crossroads. Like all of his fights against good level competition, somebody who's rugged, in shape, with some power, they're going to be difficult. The aura has been stripped away, and, it's just not the same, even though he got his belts back. I honestly believe that, because in his height of his hype or whatever, they were comparing him to Lennox Lewis. I don't see him going on to do the great things that Lennox Lewis went on to do in his career. I don't see him. I don't see him having the mental dexterity, the resilience, the chin, the just overall boxing ability to stay disciplined against better opposition. Again, he did this versus Ruiz. Cool. But we know what Ruiz was up against based on his own personal decisions, like Tyson Fury is saying. He chose to get fat. That's no one else's problem but his. But that was a reality. I can't overlook the fact that this is what I witnessed and this is what I seen. Versus, look at Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. in the rematch. Luis Ortiz in the rematch was not playing. He looked solid. He looked sharp as hell. Came out first 6 rounds, 7 rounds, you know, up until the 10-second mark, and he got stopped. And he wasn't playing no games. He enlisted the efforts of my dude, friend of the channel, Larry Wade. He looked good. He was in shape. He was focused. He had been here before. He had tasted what Wilder offered. It's just Wilder's power is it's at another level. One punch man. You know, Joshua, he has power, but he has to put punches together. It's not like he just turns whole fights around with one singular shot and you're out of there. So, guys, I just think he's been found out a bit, you know. So I don't disagree. I think if a UK guy, out of all the major guys that are, you know, I guess even mentioned with Wilder, Tyson Fury, Joshua, and Dillian White, the guy with the strongest chance to beat him, and I don't even think he's going to beat him, is Tyson Fury. But he at least has the boxing ability. Dillian White, he punches wide and has shootouts. Wilder's quick. I don't see that being good. You know, I don't see somebody winning a shootout and I don't know. The man has heart, athleticism, speed, and one punch to separate you. Thanos power. So let me know what you guys think of Tyson Fury's comments. I'm going to go back. The halftime should be over. 49ers is absolutely doing what Wilder does in fights and destroying the Green Bay Packers. So see you guys in the Super Bowl. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.